Somewhere, far past the last road that maps remember, there is a village where autumn never rushes. The leaves fall so slowly there that you could count them, one by one, drifting down like small orange lanterns being lowered on invisible threads. Tonight, we are going to walk there together, at the gentlest pace imaginable, past cottages with round doors and crooked chimneys, past lanterns just beginning to glow gold in the blue evening air. There is nowhere to be. There is nothing to do. There is only the soft crunch of leaves beneath quiet footsteps, and the long, slow exhale of a world settling in for the night. Before we begin, let yourself get comfortable. Let your shoulders drop. Let your hands rest wherever they feel heaviest and most at ease. If you'd like, dim the lights around you now, or simply close your eyes and let the dark behind your eyelids become its own kind of evening sky. There is no need to hold on to anything from today. The day is finished. It has already folded itself away, quietly, like a letter placed back into its envelope. Tonight, we are visiting a small elven village tucked into a valley of birch and oak trees, a place where the air always smells faintly of cinnamon bark and wood smoke, where the paths are made of packed amber earth, and where every rooftop wears a soft blanket of fallen leaves. It is autumn here, deep autumn, the kind that arrives not as a chill, but as a warmth turned inward, a season for slowing down rather than speeding up. The villagers here have already begun preparing for a long, comfortable rest, and so will you. Let your breathing slow to match the pace of this place. In, softly. Out, even more softly. There is nothing ahead of you now but a quiet lane, a low golden light, and the gentle sound of leaves settling on the ground like they, too, are getting ready for sleep. You do not need to imagine every detail perfectly. You do not need to hold on to any of it tightly. Simply let the images arrive, softly, one after another, the way leaves arrive on a still evening, drifting down without effort, without hurry, each one settling wherever it happens to land. If your mind wanders elsewhere for a moment, that is all right too. You can always find your way back to this quiet lane, this golden light, whenever you are ready. Think for a moment of the last warm afternoon of the year finally giving way to evening, the sun sliding low behind the hills, the sky slowly softening from gold to rose to that deep, comfortable blue that seems to hold the whole valley in a gentle embrace. This is the hour the village loves best. The hour when work is finished, when doors begin to close softly against the coming chill, when small fires are lit, not out of necessity, but simply for the comfort of their glow. Let that feeling settle over you now, the way it settles over the village. The feeling of a day well spent, quietly finished, with nothing left to do but rest. The village sits low in its valley, hidden from the wind by a ring of ancient trees whose leaves have turned the color of embers and honey. As dusk begins to settle, the sky above softens into shades of dusty rose and deep lavender, and the first stars appear one at a time, unhurried, as though they too are easing into the evening. The cottages here are built from pale timber and round, weathered stone, their roofs thatched with dried reed and moss that has gone golden with the season. Smoke curls gently from a few chimneys, thin grey ribbons rising straight up into the still air before dissolving into the coming night. Small round windows glow amber from within, each one framed by carved wooden shutters painted the color of moss and clay. Underfoot, the lane is soft with fallen leaves, layer upon layer of them, red and rust and pale gold, pressed into a thick and quiet carpet by many gentle seasons. Every step makes the smallest whisper of sound, a soft crunch followed by an even softer settling, the kind of sound that seems designed for walking slowly, for walking without any destination in mind. The air smells of cinnamon bark drying on windowsills, of baked apples cooling on stone ledges, of wood smoke and damp moss, and the particular sweetness of leaves breaking down slowly into the earth. Somewhere nearby, a breeze moves through the high branches of an oak tree, and a handful of leaves let go all at once, spiraling down in lazy circles before landing without a sound. Lanterns line the main lane, though no one has lit them yet. They hang from iron hooks, shaped like curling vines, their glass a warm amber that will soon hold small dancing flames. For now they wait, patient and still, catching the last blue light of dusk along their curved surfaces. Above the rooftops, the branches of the tallest trees stretch out like slow, patient hands, holding what few leaves remain a little longer before letting them go. Every so often, without warning and without urgency, a small cluster releases all at once, tumbling down in unhurried spirals, catching what little light remains before settling softly among the countless others already resting on the ground. There is a rhythm to it if you listen closely, or perhaps simply watch closely, a rhythm slower than a heartbeat, slower than a breath, the rhythm of a season easing gently toward rest. The eaves of the cottages are trimmed with drying garlands of red rowan berries and small golden saffron gourds strung together with plain twine and hung to cure slowly in the cool evening air. Here and there a lone firefly drifts low over the lane, its small light blinking softly, unhurried, matching the pace of everything else in this valley. It does not seem to be going anywhere in particular. It simply drifts, the way the leaves drift, the way the smoke drifts, the way, perhaps, your own thoughts are beginning to drift now too. Somewhere behind one of the cottage walls, a soft, wordless lullaby hums faintly, sung low by some unseen voice to some unseen, already drowsy listener, the tune simple and repeating, 3 notes rising, 3 notes falling, over and over, patient and unhurried, the way all good lullabies are. Along the lane, low stone walls separate the cottages from small gardens gone soft and full with the season. Pumpkins the colour of sunset rest among curling vines. Bundles of dried lavender and rosemary hang from garden gates, swaying only slightly, only when the breeze remembers to visit. A cat, its fur the same amber as the leaves, stretches slowly on a windowsill and settles back down into a loose curl, uninterested in anything but its own warmth. Further along, a small wooden bridge crosses a narrow stream that moves without hurry through the heart of the village. The water here is clear and dark, reflecting the last colours of the sky, moving over smooth stones with a sound like a whispered lullaby, endlessly repeating the same 3 gentle notes. Fallen leaves drift along its surface, spinning slowly, carried towards some unseen and unimportant destination. The wooden planks of the bridge are worn smooth and pale by countless unhurried footsteps, and a low railing on either side is soft with moss that has grown there undisturbed for many, many seasons. Standing at its centre, you can feel the faintest coolness rising from the water below, mixing gently with the warmer air drifting down from nearby chimneys. A small, pleasant meeting of 2 different kinds of comfort. Beneath the bridge, the water pools briefly in a wide, shallow curve before continuing on, and in that pool a scattering of fallen leaves has gathered, turning slowly, unhurried, content simply to circle in place rather than rush onward with the rest of the current. It seems, watching them, like a perfectly reasonable way to spend an evening. Turning slowly, going nowhere in particular, content. You could stand here for a long while and nothing would ask anything of you. The village does not hurry, it never has. Everything here moves at the pace of falling leaves, of settling smoke, of water finding its way around stones it has known for 100 years. Further down the lane, past the little stone bridge, the ground rises just slightly, and the cottages grow a little closer together, their eaves nearly touching above the path, forming a low, soft tunnel of golden thatch and hanging ivy gone rust-red with the season. Here the light is dimmer, filtered through the closeness of the roofs, and the sound of the world outside the village seems to fall away entirely, replaced by the small, comforting noises of a place settling in for the night. A wind chime made of hollow reeds hangs beside one doorway, and it stirs only faintly, offering a few soft, low notes before falling still again. Somewhere behind a shuttered window, a kettle begins to sing, quietly at first, and then fades as it is lifted from its hook. The smell of chamomile drifts out through a crack in the door, mixing gently with the cinnamon and wood smoke already thick in the evening air. Along this stretch of lane, wooden crates rest outside a few doorways, filled with the last harvest of the season, round golden squashes, bundles of dried corn tied with twine, baskets of walnuts still in their green husks. No one hurries to bring them inside. They will still be there in the morning, and the morning here is never far away and never anything to rush toward. A low stone fence marks the edge of the lane where it opens again into a wider space, and beyond it the trees rise taller, their canopies a deep tapestry of copper and wine red and the palest butter yellow, layered one behind another like something painted rather than grown. Between their trunks the last of the daylight lingers in soft, dusty beams, catching the drifting leaves and turning them, briefly, into slow-falling sparks of gold. Everything here seems to be exhaling. The trees exhale their leaves. The chimneys exhale their smoke. The stream exhales its quiet, endless murmur. And somewhere inside your own chest, without any effort at all, your breath has begun to slow to match it, in and out, matching the unhurried rhythm of a village that has never once been in a hurry. As you continue along the lane, a small figure appears ahead, unhurried, moving with the same slow rhythm as everything else in this valley. It is an elf, elderly and gentle-faced, dressed in a long knitted coat, the color of moss and clay, a woolen scarf wrapped loosely around a neck that has seen many autumns come and go. In one hand, a wicker basket holds a small collection of chestnuts and a bundle of dried herbs. In the other, a lantern, not yet lit, swings gently with each unhurried step. Their boots are soft leather, worn comfortable with age, and they make almost no sound at all against the thick carpet of fallen leaves. Their hair, silvered like the first frost of the season, is tucked loosely beneath a knitted cap the color of ripe acorns, a few loose strands drifting free in the same unhurried way as everything else in this valley. There is a calm settled deeply into their face, the particular calm that seems to belong only to Sown, those who have lived through very many autumns and found, each time, that this one too would be gentle. The elf notices you the way one notices a familiar breeze, without surprise, and offers only the smallest, warmest nod, as though your presence here tonight was expected, or perhaps simply welcome. There is no need for words. Some meetings do not require them. You fall into step together, side by side, moving at the same slow and comfortable pace along the leaf-covered lane. Together you pass a small bakery, its round window fogged faintly with warmth from within. The scent of baking bread and something sweetened with honey drifts out through a cracked door, mixing with the cooler evening air. A young elf inside is dusting flour from a wooden table, moving with the same unhurried care as everyone else in this village, as though speed itself were a habit long since abandoned here. Through the doorway you can see rows of small loaves cooling on wire racks, their crusts a deep golden brown, and beside them a tray of little pastries dusted with cinnamon and dried apple, arranged not for speed, but simply because arranging them neatly was a pleasant way to pass the last hour before closing. The baker glances up, offers a small, unhurried wave, and returns to their work without needing anything more from the moment than that. The warmth from the doorway reaches you for just a few steps, a brief golden pocket of heat in the cooling evening air, before the lane curves gently onward and the warmth fades behind you, replaced again by the cool, leaf-scented night. Further along, the elf beside you pauses at a low garden wall and gently plucks a few final chestnuts from a low branch, placing them into the wicker basket with careful, patient hands. There is no urgency in the gesture, no sense of a task to be finished quickly. It is simply something pleasant to do while the evening settles in around you both. You continue on together, past a small square at the heart of the village where a great oak tree stands, its canopy nearly bare now, its remaining leaves the deep orange of a dying campfire. Beneath the tree, a few wooden benches curve in a gentle half-circle, empty for now, waiting patiently for whoever might wish to sit beneath the branches and watch the last leaves let go. The elf sets down the basket here, beside one of the benches, and lifts the unlit lantern, striking a small match with slow, careful fingers. A flame catches, small and gold, and settles into a steady glow behind the glass. One by one, other lanterns along the square begin to answer, lit by other unseen hands moving through the village at the same gentle pace, until the whole square is filled with a soft constellation of warm amber light. You sit together beneath the great oak tree, saying nothing in particular, watching the last leaves drift down into the golden lantern light. It feels, in this moment, as though nothing in the wider world exists beyond this square, this tree, this quiet elf beside you, and the slow and endless falling of autumn leaves. After a while, the elf reaches into the woven basket and offers you a single roasted chestnut, still faintly warm from the small fire that must have cooked it earlier in the day. You take it without needing to speak, and the warmth of it rests pleasantly in your palm. Small and simple, a tiny point of comfort in the gathering dark. Somewhere above, a late bird calls once, softly, and then settles into its own nest for the night, and the branches sway just enough to release one more slow drift of leaves. Across the square, a door opens and closes gently, and a small elven child steps out, wrapped in a coat too big for them, dragging a little wooden cart filled with fallen chestnuts and pine cones. They do not run. Even the children in this village have learned the unhurried pace of the place, and the child simply walks, humming some small wordless tune, gathering a few more treasures from beneath the great oak before turning back toward their glowing doorway. The elf beside you watches with a soft, contented expression, the kind that comes only after many, many autumns spent in exactly this way. Every year, they might say, in a voice as quiet as the falling leaves themselves, the tree gives a little more than it needs to, and we gather only what we need, and there is always enough left over for the ones who come after. You need not respond. The words settle into the evening, the way the leaves settle onto the ground, gently, and without asking for anything in return. The lanterns around the square continue to glow steadier now, and a light mist begins to rise from the grass at the square's edges, curling low and soft around the roots of the great oak. It does not feel like cold. It feels like the valley itself, breathing out, slow and warm, the way you might breathe out at the very end of a long, good day. The elf beside you rises slowly, gathering the wicker basket, and offers a small, unhurried gesture toward the lane ahead, an invitation rather than a request, the kind that asks nothing more of you than to keep walking, if walking still feels good, or to simply stay a moment longer beneath the great oak, if staying feels better. Either way is right. There is no wrong way to spend an evening in a village that measures time only in falling leaves and settling smoke. You rise together, unhurried, and continue on, the basket of chestnuts swinging gently between you, the lanterns of the square glowing warmly at your back as the lane curves gently onward into the deepening blue of early night. The village settles more deeply into evening now, and everything continues to slow, the way a stream slows where it widens into a still and quiet pool. The lanterns glow steadier now, their light spreading gently across the leaf-covered lanes, painting the cottages in soft gold and amber. You rise, eventually, and continue walking, past cottages where the round windows glow warmly, one after another, each one holding its own small and private scene of comfort. In one window, a family gathers around a low wooden table, sharing a simple meal of soup and bread. In another, a young elf reads by candlelight, wrapped in a woolen blanket the color of autumn wheat. In another, someone simply sits, watching the fire, doing nothing at all, and doing it peacefully. In a fourth window, an old grey cat naps, curled against a stack of folded quilts, one ear twitching faintly at some small, unimportant sound. In a fifth, two elder elves sit across from each other at a small round table, a game of some quiet kind laid out between them, moving their pieces slowly, unhurried, more interested, it seems, in the company than the outcome. In a sixth, a single candle burns low on an empty windowsill, its owner already asleep somewhere just out of sight, the small flame keeping watch alone over the darkening lane. Each window is its own small, glowing world, and you do not need to enter any of them to feel welcomed by their warmth. It is enough simply to walk past, slowly, letting each soft light wash briefly over you before giving way to the next, like moving gently through a string of warm, golden pools laid one after another along the darkening lane. The lane curves gently here, following the slow bend of the stream, and the leaves continue to fall, unhurried, drifting down through lantern light like slow gold rain. Each lantern you pass adds its own small circle of warmth to the growing dark, and between them the shadows are soft, not frightening, simply another shade of the evening. The lanterns glow, the leaves fall. The stream moves quietly beside the lane. The lanterns glow, the leaves fall. Your footsteps grow softer with each step. The lanterns glow, the leaves fall, and the village exhales, slowly, into the coming night. You pass a small stable where a pair of gentle deer rest in clean straw, their breathing slow and even, their eyes half closed in the lantern light. Their coats are dusted faintly with bits of hay, and one of them shifts only slightly at your approach, unbothered, already halfway into its own quiet dreaming. You pass a well at the center of a small courtyard, its stone rim worn smooth by countless unhurried hands, a small wooden bucket resting on its edge, forgotten there since some time earlier in the day, dew already beginning to gather softly along its rim. You pass a garden where the last of the season's flowers, deep purple and burnt orange, nod gently in a breeze too soft to really call a breeze at all, their petals beginning to curl inward for the night, folding themselves closed the way tired eyes fold closed at the end of a long, good day. Everywhere you look, the village is folding itself into rest. Shutters ease closed. Fires are banked low for the night. Voices, where they can still be heard at all, have dropped to soft murmurs, the kind of sound that blends easily into silence. The lanterns glow. The leaves fall. The village grows quieter still. The lanterns glow. The leaves fall. And so, perhaps, do you. You walk on a little further, past a small workshop, where a woodcarver's tools rest neatly on a bench, the day's work finished and set aside until morning. A half-finished wooden bird sits on the windowsill, its wings only just beginning to take shape, waiting patiently for tomorrow's slow and careful hands. Beside it, a candle burns low, its flame small and steady, casting long, soft shadows across the workshop floor. Wood shavings curl in soft piles beneath the bench, pale and fragrant, smelling faintly of cedar and something sweeter, something like the inside of an old, well-loved chest. A row of finished carvings lines a shelf above the window, a fox curled into a perfect sleeping circle, an owl with wings folded close, a small boat with no particular destination in mind. Each one was made slowly, unhurried, the way everything in this village is made, with no thought given to how quickly it might be finished, only to how well it might be loved once it was. The woodcarver himself is nowhere to be seen, likely already settled somewhere warm and quiet for the evening, leaving the little workshop to rest in its own soft candlelight until the sun finds its way back over the hills tomorrow. Further still, the lane passes beneath a wooden archway, strung with the last dried flowers of summer, faded now to soft browns and dusty pinks, rustling only slightly as you pass beneath them. Beyond the archway, the cottages begin to thin, spaced further apart now, each with its own small garden gone quiet and full with the last harvest of the year. One garden holds rows of drying herbs strung along a low fence, their leaves curling slowly inward as they lose the last of their summer moisture. Another holds a small round table and 2 chairs, empty now, angled toward the sky, as though someone had sat there earlier, watching the stars begin to arrive, one gentle point of light after another. A third garden holds nothing at all but tall, browning grass, left wild and unhurried, swaying only slightly, content simply to be exactly as it is. Here the stream runs closer to the lane, and you can hear it more clearly, a low, constant murmur beneath the rustle of falling leaves, a sound so steady and so gentle that it seems to have been repeating itself, unchanged, for 100 years, and will repeat itself, unchanged, for 100 more. It is the kind of sound that asks nothing of the mind except to listen, and then, slowly, to stop listening and simply rest inside it. The lanterns glow, the leaves fall, the stream murmurs on beside you, the lanterns glow, the leaves fall. Your thoughts grow softer, slower, quieter, the lanterns glow, the leaves fall, and the village and you drift a little further into rest. The lane grows narrower here, softer underfoot, as it leads gently toward the edge of the village, where the cottages grow fewer and the trees grow taller. Here, the lanterns are spaced further apart, their light meeting in the middle, in only the faintest overlapping gold, leaving longer stretches of gentle, comfortable dark between them. The last cottage you pass has no lantern at all outside its door, only a single candle glowing faintly behind a curtain drawn most of the way closed, as though its owner has already decided that tonight, of all nights, calls for an early and unhurried rest. You do not blame them. There is something in this particular evening that seems to invite exactly that kind of surrender, a gentle giving in to stillness that asks for no explanation and needs none. The air is cooler now, quieter. Your own steps, without quite meaning to, have slowed even further, matching this new hush, this final unhurried stretch of lane before the village gives way entirely to open trees and this open sky. Leaves drift down more slowly here, it seems, or perhaps it is only that there is more time to notice each one. A single leaf falling, turning once, then again, landing without any sound at all. The stream at this edge of the village has widened into a still and glassy pool, reflecting the last pale light of the sky and the first quiet stars. Nothing disturbs its surface. Not even the leaves seem to want to break its stillness. Tall grasses lean gently along its far bank, their seed heads heavy and soft, nodding just barely in air that can hardly be called moving at all. A single dragonfly, one of the last of the season, rests motionless on a reed near the water's edge, wings folded, content to wait out the cooling night exactly where it is. The world here has narrowed to this pool, this bench, this handful of quiet grasses, and there is nothing uncomfortable in that narrowing. It feels, instead, like settling into the smallest and safest room of a very large and very comfortable house. Somewhere beneath the water's still surface, a single fish turns lazily and is gone again, the faintest ripple spreading outward before smoothing itself away entirely, the pool returning, as it always does, to perfect and patient stillness. You find near the pool a small wooden bench, worn soft with age, facing out toward the dark and gentle trees beyond the village. You sit. The lanterns behind you glow faintly through the branches. The village behind you has gone almost entirely quiet. The leaves still falling, still slow, still soft. Your breathing has slowed to match them now, in and out, matching the unhurried rhythm of this place, this valley, this long and gentle autumn evening that seems to have no end and needs none. Behind you, faintly, you can still hear the smallest sounds of the village settling for the night, a door closing softly, a window latch turning, a low murmur of voices fading into silence, one cottage at a time, like candles being pinched out one by one down a long and quiet row. The pool beside you does not move. The trees beyond do not move. Even the leaves here seem to fall more slowly than anywhere else in the valley, as though this last quiet corner of the world has agreed, without needing to say so, that nothing here should ever be rushed. You notice, faintly, the cool weight of the evening air settling around you, not cold, only soft, only still, the kind of air that seems to hold you gently in place rather than press against you. Your shoulders, if they have not already, begin to loosen here. Your hands, if they have not already, begin to rest more heavily in your lap. Somewhere far off, an owl calls once, low and soft, more a part of the silence than an interruption of it. Then, nothing. Only the trees, only the dark, only the last few golden leaves, drifting down around you, unhurried, patient, endless. If you were to look back now, over your shoulder, toward the village, you would see only the faintest glow remaining, a few soft points of amber lights, scattered gently among the dark rooftops, like the last embers of a fire that has burned exactly as long as it needed to, and no longer feels any need to burn brighter. You do not need to look back, though. It is enough simply to know that the warmth is there, waiting, patient, however long you choose to sit here at the edge of the trees. The chestnut from earlier, if you still hold it, has gone fully cool in your palm now, and you set it down gently on the bench beside you. Small, round, unimportant thing, finished with its purpose, content simply to rest there in the dark, alongside everything else that has finished its purpose for the day. Your eyelids, wherever you are listening from, may have grown heavier by now. That is all right. That is, in fact, exactly as it should be. There is nothing left in this story that needs your full attention. Only this quiet valley, only this soft, endless autumn evening, only the last few leaves, still falling, slower now than ever, drifting gently down into a sleep of their own. There is nothing left to do now but rest here a while longer, at the edge of the village, beneath the last pale light of the sky. The lanterns glow, softly, far away. The leaves continue to fall, one by one, without hurry, without sound, settling into the soft earth, to sleep through the coming winter. The stream has gone still and silent, holding the last quiet reflection of the stars. Somewhere behind you, the village has folded itself entirely into rest, every shutter closed, every fire banked low, every small light dimmed to the barest, gentlest gold. You may stay here as long as you like. There is nowhere else to be, nothing more to see, only the trees, only the dark, only the last few leaves drifting down, slow and golden, into a stillness that asks nothing of you at all. The last lantern in the distance flickers once, gently, and settles into a low and steady glow, small and warm, against the deep blue of the night. The stream, if you listen closely, has slowed almost to stillness, its quiet murmur fading into something even softer, something closer to silence than to sound. There is nothing more for this evening to become, no further place to walk, no further thought to hold, only this valley, this bench, this soft and endless falling of leaves, and the slow, warm dark settling gently over everything, like a blanket drawn up by a careful, unseen hand. Far above the treetops, the stars have finished arriving now, filling the deep blue-black sky in soft, unhurried scatterings, none of them urgent, none of them loud, each one simply taking its place the way it has taken its place on every autumn night before this one, and will again, quietly, on every autumn night still to come. Somewhere, very faintly, the last lantern of the village dims to little more than a memory of light, and tea